In 2016, researchers were working with CT scans on a batch of ancient Egyptian mummies. While preparing to scan some, people mummies later on, they started out by taking a batch of animals that had been mummified, which the ancient Egyptians are almost as famous for doing with them as they were for mummifying themselves. And there was one mummy in the animal collection that was labeled as a hawk, believed to come from around 1,200 years ago, or the Ptolemaic period, that had never been unwrapped or looked at closely, and so they put it through the CT scanner. And what they found absolutely staggered them, because it turns out this mummy wasn't the mummy of a hawk at all, or of any kind of animal. Instead, heartbreakingly, it was the mummy of a human, a stillborn male fetus, almost to term. He was between 23 to 28 weeks in gestation at the time of his death, or birth. And not only that, but this little boy, this baby boy, suffered from an incredibly rare medical condition known as anencephaly. And this causes the skull and the spine and some other parts to not develop properly. And that's exactly what happened in this poor little boy. The top of his skull was just not there at all. It just hadn't formed. His spine hadn't formed properly. The bones for his ears were way back in his skull. It would have been extremely apparent upon this boy's birth, if he wasn't dead already, that he would die very, very soon. And these physical defects would of course been very noticeable. This would have been a frightening and incredibly painful time for any family in any time period. But what they've found out from studying this mummy now is really beautiful. This little boy was as carefully embalmed and mummified as any person you can imagine, with images of Osiris and other protective deities worked into the covering of the mummy. Even though he didn't really have a life properly to speak of, he was clearly very much loved by the living, and they did their very best to protect him and provide him with everything he needed as they sent him back to where they would have thought he came from. And I mean that in the most loving way possible. And here's wishing you, as you lay your head down to get some rest tonight, the loving and supportive family members and friends you need to get you through the rough times in your life, or at the very least the compassion to give that love to yourself when you need it. And have a good night. Sleep well. I'll see you soon.